according to your the nature of the presentation and go ahead. It will definitely and subconsciously make an impact on people who are attending your presentation. So to begin with, the talk that we're going to have today is design and behavior. Design, we all know, that's why we're all here today. When I say behavior, I mean any task that you do or I do or any consumer does, right? But I'm sure when I said task, you thought of it as a more physical, in a more physical point of view. But the truth is that even before I do the task of raising my hand, my brain is giving the order to my muscles. That's literally an output. But the input goes in through your senses, and you already made a decision in your head before you made a decision with your hands or your legs or anything for that matter. Like imagine if you go to a shopping store, if you go to a supermarket, you think that you know what you want to buy, but when you enter, how many of us actually ended up overbuying things, even though we had a list of 3 items. We shop for 5 items, we pick up 10 items, right? What is that behavior? We know what we need, but we still pick up other things. So what is it that's causing that in a supermarket? We'll be discussing later. But behavior in general is any task that you do, both mental and physical, and in fact, the mental tasks override your physical tasks, right? So, and also before I go ahead, I've used some videos and I've used some audio and graphic content. The graphic content is mostly 80% being made by me for the presentation, but all the videos and the audio that I have sourced are purely for educational purposes. It is not for any commercial use. So if you take a screenshot or anything, that's going to be on you. I just want to make that clear, right? Uh, I'm going to read the people to respond in this slide, right? So I'm going to display on the right side of it a text and on the right side of it the same text. And I want you to tell me that which of the text looks darker to you. Which text looks darker to you, right? Can you tell me which of the two texts, the gray text, looks darker? The number one or the number two?
Number one.
Yeah, number one looks darker to you, right? So in this case, you assume that one is darker and one is lighter. In design, this is called color relativity, but by this, I wanted to explain that consumer behavior, right, uh, changes. Even if if you take the same behavior and if you put it in different context, it's going to be entirely different. The behavior is same, but the output of the behavior is going to be different. For example, I'll give an example of frugality. Frugality is when a person is, in Hindi, you may say kanjoos or people who want exact value for what they pay, right? And my dad is one of them. So when I told him that dad, here's a shampoo bottle, it's very nice. It's a 100 ml bottle for 200 rupees, right? He said, there's no way on earth I'm gonna buy something like that. Yeah, shampoo bottle pe kaun itna kharch karta hai, to, right? And I was like, okay, fine, ठीक है. And he'd rather go for the 50 rupees soap. So I said, okay, fine, आपने 150 का मतलब मुनाफा बनाया, ठीक है. And then when I told him that, okay, look, now you have to buy a juicer, all right? I give you an Usha juicer and I give you a Philips ka juicer and I give you a Morphe Rich side by side. And the price difference between Usha and Philips is at least 5,000 and Philips and Morphe Riches is at least 10,000, right? There उनका जो quickness था पहले का, that was not there. He was actually thinking for a second, even though he had to spend 10,000 more or 5,000 more, he actually gave it a thought. So where did his frugality go when he had to decide to buy a juicer, right? So similarly, there are many situations in which the behavior can change. So we'll start by understanding what makes up a person's behavior right from when they're kids. So what is behavior? If I had to construct it in concentric circles or ellipses around, this is how I'd explain it. So the first ring around would be your personality, yourself, and then the experiences that take place very early in your childhood. Like when you're born, think of it as when you're born, right? When you're born, already you have different characteristics, right? In the same crib, across, like hospital may, if you see, there are many cribs and there are many babies, but some are crying and some are not. Why is that? It is their innate behavior. It is something that they're born with. There is already a personality definition with you when you come into this world. And then comes your education, your formal education, your influencers, which would be your parents, your friends, your relatives, and then comes the society around you, the third people, like the third person people, I mean, the indirect people who influence you. And then comes the politics, the culture, and the environment that you're in. And the largest circle I would put would be the international influence, the global goals, and the nature around you, ultimately the universe around you. So here I would like to give an example. When I say global goals, even though global goals are not immediately at the back of our head, I'd like to proceed with an example here. If we take shampoo sachets, the chota packets, right, the sachets of shampoo. So once upon a time, these were not that common. These are actually being made quite recently, if you think of it. Before, there were only bulk products that used to sell. Like shampoos only used to be sold in bottles or other bulk items, bulk volume. But what happened? What happened that led to the creation of such micro packaging that today, even if you go to a kirana shop right next to you, you find Tresemme, right? You find Tresemme. So how did that happen? At that point, the issue is that someone like my dad came about and said, "मैं क्यों दूँ bottle का इतने सारे पैसे, right? Why should I pay so much? So give me another alternative." Or someone who genuinely couldn't afford it said, I can't afford a bottle of shampoo, it's too expensive. So at that point, the issue, or rather the important this thing was that it needs to be available to many people. So they created these micro packagings for everything, from Boost to all of these shampoo sachets. So many companies are selling sachets of so many things today. But now that we see that these micro packaging that we have, if you recall using that sachet shampoo, when you tear it, right, you have a micro triangle in your hand, and you have the rest of the packet which you pour the shampoo out from. So this is fine. When you later dump it in the trash, yeah, it can be caught somewhere in the net because of itself. But this particle you see is called microplastic. And many of these microplastics have been accumulating from many products, and they're unable. You can't catch them with it. They're so fine. At times, they're so fine. You can't even catch them, and they just flow and flow into the oceans until they collect at a point, and the plastic dump kind of a situation happens, right? So today, because we have the global goal as an issue, we are aware. If we take people who like 10 years ago, they don't really, that issue didn't exist then before, so why would they even think about it? But today we need to think about it. By this, I'm not actually making a point for climate change. I'm rather trying to give you a hint of behavior. My behavior is being moderated, is being changed by something that is happening globally. Similarly, in all of these circles that I had mentioned before, in all of these circles, any one point, if it comes to the forefront, that is what is going to play the major role in how we will behave. Something political. We know how politics can be really sensitive. So, yeah. So what I basically mean is that there is no hierarchy to all of these elements that I have noted, like personality, politics, culture. Any of them can influence any of each other at any given point of time. So next, I'd like to actually bring up an issue. So I would like to ask people, how many of you are actually drinking the right amount of water now that we're in quarantine? Right? We have nothing. We have so much time. We're sitting in our pajamas. How many people are actually drinking now the exact amount that needs to be? How many people even know what is the exact amount, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that we know that water is good for us. Earlier, previously, we were using reasons like, I'm too busy, or I don't have the time, I don't have it in reach. But now you have everything in reach. You have the time, you have the comfort for it even then, why are you not drinking that water that you need to? We know what's essential for our body. We know that we need to eat greens, but we don't eat greens. We know we need to drink water, but we don't drink water. So, knowing that I need to drink water is a piece of knowledge in my head. But I am not going to use that piece of knowledge. My behavior is going to override what my knowledge is telling me to do. Right? That is why behavior is really important to be considered. Like if you suppose you're making a product, if you're making a water bottle, if I give you a concept that what if a water bottle can give you rewards? Like shopping, after you shop, you swipe that card, you get some points. What if I tell you for every liter of water that you drink, I'm going to give you some brownie points for it, right? So you're not actually telling the user drink water, you're telling the user here are your rewards, now drink water. So they have specifically targeted that behavioral aspect which was going wrong, and then like made it around to the product. So behavior can be used like that in many ways. So the thing is, I have a slight issue with my presentation. I'm presenting on my iPad, so the connectivity had some issues. The audio will not be heard, but the video will be heard, and I guess video is enough. So this was an small experiment or a very nice invention done by a company called Smart in Germany. I'll be playing the video now. Right. So So as you saw, there is no need for anyone to come up with anything like that. No one ever asked for something like that. It was a simple problem of behavior, in fact, that we don't want to wait. Now I know that I need to wait, but I don't want to wait, right? That's what behavior is, essentially. So what they have done is they're like, okay, people don't like waiting. We need to do something about that. We need to entertain them. We need to make them want to wait. So similarly, when you're making a product, you need to make the user want to use your product. If you understand what I'm saying, or if I just complicated the sentence. The next example we see is usually a lot of you people must have heard the term user-centric. Right? But I've often wondered for someone who doesn't know what it means, what does user centric even mean other than just two words, right? What makes it user centric? How do you make it user centric? I'll be just giving you a short description because the whole process would take another entire presentation. So, suppose I have a user and you have your product, okay? Uh, Now, before the user uses the product, the user needs to, let's say, reach your product. The user needs to get to your product. right? So the user is there, and the user is like doing task number one, task number two, task number three, and task number four to just get to your product, right? If imagine if you don't cater to these tasks, forget about using your product. The user is not even going to think about using your product, right? Only if you make it convenient for him to go to your product, to approach your product, to reward. Maybe the reward is calling. Who knows? So what you do is you take all of these tiny tiny tasks that the user is doing when he's about to approach your product, like each and every micro task, and make it easier in any way you can. And when you do that, so you've already reduced the task one stress, you've already reduced the task two stress, you've already generating an experience without even him picking up the product, right? The product is not even in this picture right now. And if you are able to actually get through a substantial number of tasks and make them easier for the user, you ultimately have what could be defined as good experience. And this is what user centric actually means. Now the question here is, this is only one user. You can say ki, one user is doing task one, task two, task four. Now what if I have another user, another, and another user, right? So for that, what you can do during your research phase is that, suppose we have with us six users over here, and you take down all of their tasks that they have done, write down all of their tasks, you get like a huge list of tasks. What you need to do then is you need to take out the common tasks, you need to extract the common tasks, 1, 2, and 3 in this case, and then make the common tasks easier. Like that, you're actually catering to six people, right? Instead of catering to just one people, you're catering to six people. Similarly, the larger your research database goes, the more common points you'll have to find, and then cater to the common points, and solve these micro tasks, right? These are something that you might not even have thought of, but when you it's like looking at someone doing a task in slow motion. You will see everything in clarity if you actually put your mind to it. That entering a door, what do you actually do? Enter the door, hold the knob, push the knob, you enter the room, then you again push the knob, then you turn back. In fact, when you're pushing the knob the second time, na, you don't push it like this. You push it, you turn back, and then you push the knob, right? So all of these tasks, any one task you eliminate is going to make it easier. Any one task in that you can make simpler, that's going to make it easier for you. But again, I'll give you a situation where the common tasks right now on my screen are only three. But there might be a point where your common tasks are about 20 or 40. Then what do you do? Do you go solving all the 40 problems? No, we don't have time for that. The industry doesn't have time to solve all of these things. But what you can do during that time is that prioritize which task gives the user the most amount of experience, the ease, the comfort. In this scenario, I've just pointed out the common task two for me is more important. So first I'll solve the common task two, then I'll go about solving the next important task. Like that, let's say even if you have 20 common tasks that you want to simplify for the user, even if you just achieve five of them, you've still achieved something. And when you go for a second wave after, let's say, you've launched your product, you've solved five tasks, you've launched your product, it's already gained some say popularity, and then in the second version you can go for the next five tasks or the next 10 tasks, right? This is another video I want to show. Again, my audio is not going to be audible. So just the video. This was a lamp done by Mock Studio Columbia. This, I feel, is something on the terms of what I spoke before, the rewarding system, right? We'll watch the video.
Whoa, that's okay. Cut about now.
So like we saw, someone could have just made a fancy light, and nowadays I see a lot of fancy lights actually. So someone could have just gone ahead and made a fancy light. It still would have sold, no doubt. But what happens is that, see, in India, especially in India, India is a mass market environment, right? So in India, even if you launch any kind of product, it's going to sell. Yes, the first wave is going to be there for everyone. You are going to sell in lakhs because the population of India is in 130 crores, right? Lakh is nothing to compare, right? So any product you launch will have that 1 lakh of sales, but that does not mean that's going to get you through the market. To constantly update yourself and to create values like this right here, this is going to be a timeless design no matter when, because they have not created just another fancy light. Rather, what they have done is what they made you literally relate to money and light putting together, right? And the interaction is very beautifully done, I feel. It's very well done by Mock Studio in Colombia. uh, okay. Okay. So, in the next section, can I first? Okay, no, never mind. Okay, in the next section, I'm going to demonstrate or try to see how behavior or your attention can be led or guided using graphics. Like usually, people think that graphics does not have anything to do with what behavior is. It's just simple graphic. As long as it's aesthetic and attractive, it's fine. But we'll see in the next slides how it works, right? So I'm gonna swipe to the slide and immediately just be conscious and note, like mentally note how you read and in which order did you read the following slide, right? Yeah. So I have made an indication of how I think people would read it, right? Like that. First, you look to the left because it's the most prominent thing on your screen, and then the red dot which is catching your eye. It says look down, and then I'm gonna look down, and which says look to your right, and I'm then gonna look to the right. Uh, then I'm gonna see look up and say hi, right? So let's say that my task is to make the user see the particular hi over there. So in how many different methods can I do that, or in how many different methods can I fail to do that, right? You'll be seeing the same format in the next two slides, but just blink your eyes a little bit and go on to the next. So again, I want you to just notice where your eyes are traveling. Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry. Uh, okay. Never mind. This is the second image, in which, first of all, the red look to the right is the most attracting to the eye. But as soon as I get to that, the red dot is, calling me from somewhere, calling me from the hind vision of mine. So immediately my vision goes to the red dot, which says look up. But then I don't look up, but then I look down because there's a blue bar on top of it, which is again taking my attention. And this whole slide is basically a disaster of communication, because even though you've read, you are not following the instructions. Even though you understand what's written, you still are itching to look somewhere else. There is absolute breakage of flow. There is no flow. There's nothing. And now we'll see the third screen, which is this. Right. So this is how I'd imagine it to be. Yeah. If it's not like that, that's not an issue, because in fact I have myself sent it to a few people and experimented it myself. A lot of people said that I looked at the blue dot. मैंने कहीं और पे देखा है. I didn't see it like that. That's fine. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that you can actually guide your attention even before my mind could read or make sense of anything. The red dot took my eye. That it just took my eye, right? So usually in graphic design or even in interaction design, we use elements like these to specifically drag your attention to that side. So you read what's written below it. You may have actually seen these dashes and dots and lines randomly placed. They're not randomly placed. They're actually put in such a way that the designer behind it wants you to look there. And you can actually give this whole thing a sequence as well. As you go on experimenting more, you'll find the ideal screen which will take you to high in less number of steps, right? And this was an example for graphic. And if I have to talk about interaction design and how, I'm pretty sure if there are any UI UX people, you already know this. It's called Fitzler. So this is the normal Facebook page that we all see, right? And what if the login button were a little distant, right? And what if the login button were that distant? Technically, now you may not understand it, but if it really was there, it would have irritated your mind without even you. Why do I have to? If you are using a touchpad, it's a disaster actually. Mouse is still better, but if you're using a touchpad, I'm going to have to touch that little more area and drag my finger across just to click the login, which is extremely irritating to the mind. So there are these very, very tiny psychological point of views and psychological what stresses we call them, cognitive stresses that you need to solve in order for extremely smooth interaction to happen. Uh, okay, right. Can I please hear from the people who had volunteered?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Can I at least have three people or four to five people?
Yes.
Yes, right. So in the next screen, I need you to select. Uh, so these are all shampoo bottles, okay? And I need you to select which shampoo bottle would you pick. You can give me the number,
5, 7,
okay?
7,
Yeah, I got 5 and 7. Anyone else?
2.
Two, okay. And anyone else?
Second.
Okay. So, okay, even if you can't tell me, just remember your choice that you've made in this, right? Now I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay. Now, how many of you would go with the same option, or would you like to change?
I would like to change.
Okay, can you tell me what was your previous number and the current number you would like to change?
I'll
Continue
So
with
previously it was second, and right
Okay,
now I'll go for the seventh.
7. Okay. And anyone else who would like to change? No? Okay. So you guys are going with your option, right? Hello?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Okay. So these are the brands, right? These are the brands. The first one is Vela, the second one is Sunsilk. The third one is I don't really know. Fourth one is Joico. The fifth one is Nivea Men. Sixth is Karate, and seventh is Tresemme. Now, do you guys want to change again? You're free to
No,
change. Still no. Okay. Anyone? Right. So what I'm trying to tell you is that how did you actually make a decision at even at the black and white? I haven't shown you anything. I haven't shown you the contents of the bottle. I haven't told you anything about it. You still picked, right? You still picked. So imagine if with such less information you can actually make a choice. With so much information, you're already made a choice in your head by the time you even see something. It's just an illusion, that the brand is there and then that's why I picked it, right? So if you are launching a new product into saturated market, this is what you got to see, right? As product designers, what we do is this is where we start. We start with the basic shape of the bottle, right? After the bottle, even while making the bottle, we have like these guidelines. What is my target market? What is my do I want to sell this to women or do I want to sell this to men or do I want to sell this to children? Who is my target market? So accordingly, I'll be making a whole visual board and then I will start sketching how my bottle should look like. Right. The second step is the color. The color is really important. The person who changed from second to seventh, I'm assuming you changed it because the second bottle was pink. Is that the reason? Hello.
It is the color.
Yeah, it is the color, right? So see, as soon as the color comes into picture, how your decisions have been changed, right? But the truth is that two people chose the Sunsilk shampoo bottle over here, which is pink in color. So the best part is what Sunsilk has done. I feel, as my personal opinion, is that ये bottle in the grays, this bottle has appealed to many people. Now whether they put pink on it or whether they put black on it is a choice. So it was very cleverly done, I feel, at the very shape level, that no matter what, if I put a pink color, yes, females will be attracted to it. On the same shape, if I put a black color, males will be attracted to it, right? Or if I put any other color, then maybe it becomes unisex. But at the very basic foundation, they have achieved a good shape of a bottle, right? That उनको कुछ change नहीं करना पड़ेगा बाद में. They just have to change the color of the bottle to and put a black label on it to appeal to the males. So all of this actually goes through the process of developing a product. And now you know why colors matter, right? Simply, if you are going to make an innovation, most people actually mean by an innovation is you crack something like engineering way. You've done a great job, yes, but the immediately जो user देखता is not the engineering inside it, is the cover of it, is the shape of it, is the color of it. So these things do matter, and they matter a lot in terms of sales actually. So this actually was a campaign of Dove wherein they were trying to replicate. They said women come in all different shapes and sizes, so our bottles will also come in all shapes of different sizes, right? But you'd be, I don't know, I was not shocked actually, but this campaign was a total, it went to the floor, it went to the dogs entirely. Because in fact, I heard some women saying when I was doing research on this, one woman said, why would I pick up a bottle that looks like me? If I'm fat, why would I pick up a fat bottle? That's just you making me, you telling me twice that you are actually body shaming me. You're not empowering me in any way, right? So it didn't work. It fell flat because that's not how we perceive things to be. They didn't think of that small behavioral aspect that why would someone who is already ashamed of their body pick up something that looks similar to their body, right? That just didn't work because of the simple behavior, the way people are. Okay. This I will want to play, but I can't because the words in this are really important. In this, basically, Meryl Streep is trying to tell her that each and every piece of clothing that you're wearing on your body has already been made for you. Someone has already made that for you. Don't think you've made the choice. Okay, don't even accidentally think that you've made the choice. Someone has actually made the choice for you, and you've just picked it. You simply picked it. You didn't even have a choice to actually think about. That's what she says. If you guys can have given who uploaded it and what the title is called, please watch it and hear the dialogues properly. It's very enlightening. So, if we talk about supermarkets, I'd like to come to almost the last section of this presentation. I hope it was not too soon. So, if you see supermarkets, I spoke about how we unintentionally buy things, right? So, supermarkets are designed so cleverly, you wouldn't even imagine. As soon as you walk in, this was a study from my own research. We studied the whole supermarket, we studied its planning, we studied the space around it, and this is how it goes. I hope you guys can imagine it. So as soon as you enter, there's a slope going downwards, and you have to walk through the slope to get to the main market, right? And throughout the slope, they put up these big banners saying 50% discount, 60% discount, 80% discount, 90% discount, not 90, but 10% discount, 15% discount, and all the discount products, right? So as soon as you walk into a market, even if you just came to pick up one product, how good that how good did that discount make you feel at that point, right? They make you feel good, right? At that point when they show you all the discount boards that there are, right? You don't want a patila, but you don't want a cooker, but you like 50% off, maybe I should get it, right? So this is how they actually manipulate it. They manipulate the placement, the attention that they see. And coming to that, you must have noticed that usually discount boards are all with a yellow background and black text, because yellow is the most attention seeking color. You can notice it even now. Every time you go out, just try and notice what the discount boards look like. And most of them will look like yellow, red, or black, basically, because they are the colors that what at even from a distance attract a lot of attention. Like there's a discount going on over there. So this particular designing stream is called visual merchandising, where you place your merchandise in such a way that it attracts the customer, right? So the cap that you see over here, the shelf that you're seeing in front of your screen, all of us must have seen it in reality somewhere or the other, right? So did you know that to put your product in that particular section, it costs at least triple the amount than it would cost for you to place it on some shelf? So this particular thing is called an end cap, right? If you can Google it after this presentation, you should do it. It's called an end cap, and end caps usually are more expensive. You need to pay more to occupy that space, because they end caps are the places where the customer will take a turn, right, or enter an aisle from. So they are the most attention seeking and most in front of you section of the whole supermarket. So next time you want to maybe promote your brand, you are introducing a brand, you might need to do this in at least in the first go to show people, irrespective of your competitor, right? When your product gets placed on a shelf next to other competitor, the person has a range to look to, right? The person is like ye ki ye or this or that. But when you place a product here, there is no your competitor is nowhere near you, right? The whole thing is yours. And it actually, when you take a turn, again the same thing I said before, when you take a turn, you tend to pay a lot of attention to the section. Okay, so now again I'm gonna require people to speak. So I'm going to talk about storytelling and how it works. We're going to the next section, towards the end section. So again, the people who are speaking before, or the people who want to join, please do. So in the next few slides, I'm going to show you a few visuals, and you have to guess what it is, right? It's just a visual, and you have to guess what it is. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna need answers from people. Can you please tell me? Okay, right. Right. So I'm gonna go to the next slide, right? What is this?
Nirma?
Powder.
Nirma
Yes.
powder.
Okay. What is this?
Liril. Liril.
What is this?
Baby
Oh,
Johnson.
Yeah. Did you notice that you didn't even see the product? There was no product in any of these. Who told you? I mean, not who told you, but do you realize that how these people have embedded in your mind a certain picture of a product, a story of a product, right? Tell me how many of you remember a different Santur ad? As long as I remember, since birth, I've only seen this one ad wherein there's a woman who has a child but doesn't look like she has a child. And there's this guy who comes and says to her, "Oh my god, you're so young. Um, how come?" And then she says, "I use Santur," right? So what they're basically selling is not a soap. They're selling the youth of a woman to her, right? They're selling the youth. This is the same strategy Santura has used for over 25 years now. It's not even as old as I am. It's like it's more age than I am, and they've not changed. They've not think about it. They've not invested in anything new for their advertising, and they still are at the top of the sales, especially in South India. How come? How come? So in every product that we make, you put a use to it, right? You take a product, you take a phone, your phone is to be used in a certain way. So at what point in my life am I going to use that product, right? So in soaps, how do you actually sell a soap? You be like, yellow, this cleans you. Just rub it on your body, it's gonna clean. That's this functional aspect of it. That's just the functional aspect of it. You give the soap a color, that's another aspect of it. But you tell the person that you are going to get your youth using this product. You may not, but you're still buying it. That's the truth. Okay, that's this phenomenon can be used in a positive way and in a negative way. In fact, this can be used entirely to manipulate people into buying things. But well, people do that. There is good design and there is uh, bad design, at least bad in context. Right. So in Nirma, again, Nirma is not a soap, but it's a washing powder. Has this anything to do with it? No, it does not. This has to do with the women empowerment. At that point of time, women empowerment was a major issue. And women wanted to buy this because they saw themselves as these particular women that you see on the screen. Nirma, and there's like surf also. But why Nirma? Because I want to feel empowered. I want to feel what those people are feeling, right? That's why you buy a product, and that's how you sell a product. You're selling empowerment. You're not selling a detergent, or you're not selling a surf powder. Otherwise, if you really want to sell the surf, tell them the composition of the surf, nimbu hai, uh, chandan hai, all of that. But no, they just said, just made it all clear through one simple act of women empowerment. And Liril, right? Liril tells you you're going to be as fresh as you will be if you take a bath in water spring, natural water spring under a waterfall. Um, so the thing is, yeah, Liril, this if when let me assume if when Liril started with this ad, they may have said, okay, fine, this is a good strategy. We're going to make people so fresh, like this, they feel like they're taking a bath in the spring. But then again, this is only a strategy to get through the first wave, as I mentioned before. What happens is if they buy Liril thinking that this ad made them feel good, and then the soap doesn't make them feel good, they're not going to buy it again. So the major aspect of sustaining in the market comes when you maintain the quality. You actually give them what you say you will with the product. You don't like uh, you know um, you pitch it so high, and then if the quality is not there, they're not going to come back. It's only going to be the first wave again. Before also I said 1 lakh people will buy your product, and that's it. You will be happy for the 1 lakh people. Beyond that, it's not going to go, because then people are going to tell each other that's actually not a good soap. दिखाते तो है, but there's nothing over there that's really a product. कुछ नहीं है, and people won't buy it. Word of mouth is really powerful. So there have been times in which people like Santur have pitched and probably given the quality, and that's why Santur is working. Whereas there have been people who didn't pitch it so high, simple strategy, simple marketing, but because of the quality, the product has kicked forward in the market. That also happens at times. If you really want to concentrate on the ingredient, you do concentrate on the ingredients. Like if we take Mysore sandal, people buy it, people still buy it for authenticity of sandal, but Mysore sandal is not telling you how you'll feel. So there are like all kinds of products. So the uh, in short, the point is that don't be scared, I think, to come into a saturated market, because each person has in their life different modes or different phases. So if just choose which phase you want to put your product, which phase do you want to pitch them to, and create your whole branding, your marketing, your storytelling, all of it around that, and then see actually how it takes off, right? Yeah, this is indeed Johnson's baby. It's to show them. It's to so the mother in this the story is that the mother loves her child so much that she's going to give him a Johnson's baby. So that's the story. Or a no tears. That's why the no tears also work. So this is a short this thing from my college time. This is how we begin with before we sketch. We make a mood board. In this, I think my inspiration was to make something antique, modern, subtle, and traditional at the same time to sell to modern people. So this kind of a visual board we create, and we literally extract curves from it, and then we go ahead with the color and etc. etc. All the layers that come after it. Right. And this is the last thing I want to talk about. Paperboat as a brand. So we all know Paperboat is not recent, right? And imagine there was Coke, there was Pepsi, there was Thumbs Up, there was Mountain Dew, and not only these, but there were those regional drinks. Like I think in Gujarat you have Sosio. So many of the regional drinks are there in each state, and then there are these huge MNC brands like Coca-Cola, and suddenly there comes a brand that takes over all of them and goes like just peering through a saturated market, a heavily saturated market, and still makes its place, right? Today, if you board a plane, they ask you which paperboard drink do you want. They don't ask you do you want cola or do you want thumbs up. So paperboard has achieved that through their branding, through their packaging. See, so first thing, they start with the flavors. They don't call it natural like Tropicana does or the brand natural does. They call it Golgappe ka pani, right? And the tagline is Paperboard brings in memories, right? As soon as you hear paperboard has nothing to do with the drink inside, right? But it's to do with your childhood, all of our childhood. So immediately, just right at the name, they have triggered you, they have triggered a certain aspect of your life. This is called using nostalgia in design. So everything is basically branding to packaging to everything else will be concentrated around nostalgia as a concept. So see, in the poster, what they've written is it's not it's a recipe, not a formula. It's what you've been missing. Golgappe ka pani is what you've been missing, and that's how they pitch it. And even for the packaging, if you remember, there were ads in which, you know how when we were kids we would just take anything, उसके ऊपर पैर रख के कुचलते थे, you stomp everything, you throw it around. So their ad was a small kid taking this particular packaging and like, just throwing it around everywhere and being like that. You like seeing that, right? Because you did that at some point of time. And here are some more posters that they have made. In Paperboard Jaljeera, Paperboard Jaljeera, they're saying one thing Ma never had to ask you to finish. Like you loved it so much that you just drank it. It's nothing to do with what inside the packet. No, like there is nothing relevant there. But what they're triggering is your nostalgia, is your childhood, and they've been very good at it. And I think this is so far the best example of entering into a very saturated market and still being able to reach to the top. And today, I don't think there's a replacement for something like paperboard. So for armrest, I think they're saying you can suck it dry, but the last drop will be on your fingers. Right. So I guess we've reached the end of our presentation. This is what I wanted to talk about behavior and like storytelling and a few of my favorite examples, very good examples. I hope you guys liked it, and we'll open up for questions if there are any. Thank you so much. And there's my email at the bottom. If you have any other queries regarding anything I can answer, I will. But yeah, thank you so much for your time.